Rachel and Joey dating, I never really wanted them to be together, so I didn't really enjoy that part of it. I completely loved it this time, and I actually fell in love with their friendship. This episode really escalates, but I think I was very surprised that I so enjoyed this storyline. I thought it was really, really sweet.
I'm having such a wonderful time.
Me too. Hey, Rach, can I just say, I think this is the best date I ever had.
I know.
Welcome to the table.
We're your hosts, Michelle and Laura.
This is where we talk movies, TV, food, and the ways they bring us together. Grab a seat. This episode starts now.
Today, we're covering a classic, a gem. Some people hate this show. I don't know why. There's some people out there who hate Friends, which is questionable. But today we are covering episode 12 of season 8. So we're pretty deep into the Friends episodes of this one that we're covering. I'm surprised we didn't start off with something earlier, but the jar decides, not us.
We're not in charge.
I'm dedicating this episode to my best friend, Ali Adamari, because this is our bonding show. This is a show that we watched in college together and how we became friends. And it was her birthday yesterday.
I don't know if we've ever done an episode dedication, but I kind of like it.
Maybe we have to start doing a dedication segment.
I think that you had mentioned before that Allie likes Friends, and that was maybe like your biggest connection to this show. But I want to hear more about that. But I will start by giving you my background with Friends. The show came out when I was 11. And I'm sure, Laura, when you're thinking of yourself at 11 and so many of the films that we've discussed on the podcast, I feel like at that age, you were watching movies that were on TV. Like you're pretty much like watching it, like anything and everything. But when I think about myself in 1994, when I was 11, I'm thinking I wasn't allowed to watch this show. Not even season 1, not season 2, not season 3.
Rude.
I didn't really start watching any episodes of Friends, I don't think, until maybe my senior year of high school. I do remember the end of season 7. If I'm getting this, I did not fact check this, but I think that it would make sense based on this episode. That's when we find out that Rachel is pregnant, which was like such a big TV moment, like to like think about where I was, like in my life at that time. And then like how monumental that plot line kind of like became. What I thought was cool for choosing this episode out of the idea jar is I went to college in the end of 2001, and I have a really strong memory and being so excited that I had an evening class on Thursday nights, and so did my roommate. And I remember getting back from class, and I would get back before her, and I would order Chinese food, and I would watch Friends by myself, which growing up, I mean, love our parents, love our family, but like having all of these restrictions around what I could watch and not watch, among other things, probably eat as well. Just what a freedom, like kind of like I'm a grown up now that I can do this on Thursday nights. And I really remember that being a ritual for me. And it was this season, it was season 8 that I really started watching it more regularly. Now, this specific episode, I don't completely remember. And when I looked at the air date, January 10th, I'm thinking there's a chance I may never have seen this because I was probably home for Christmas break at this time. But I certainly remember all the stuff that comes after this. So it was kind of cool to pinpoint the start of the Joey Rachel thing. If this is the start, that is a question I had for you. Like,
Yeah.
Is this the very beginning of all of that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I feel like the Joey Rachel storyline actually drags out even into when, once Emma's born. Sorry. There will be spoilers on this episode. this is a show that people would wait a week to see what happened next.
Yeah.
Which is amazing considering the amount of episodes there are.
And this show has a lot of good cliffhanger episodes from my memory. I was half expecting you to come here and me tell the story about how I had to wait till I got to college to watch this show every single week, and for you to tell me, oh, I watched season 8 live too at home.
When I was however old. Yeah.
8.
8. Yeah. I mean, my college memory, Allie and I lived next door to each other on the 4th floor. And we always have this joke that we don't remember ever meeting. It was like a flash, and we were like sitting on her couch eating microwavable mac and cheese and watching Friends. And at the time, Facebook statuses were still a thing. And Allie made her Facebook status mac and cheese and Friends with Laura and her other roommate, Christine. And it's like out there on the internet. But then that became kind of our comfort show. Then, we ended up meeting a lot of our other friends throughout college, and like our friend, we really loved Friends. I think that she owns a lot of the DVDs. So we were this was like a repeat comfort show for us. And I'm very upset that we didn't think of the Chinese food integration, but we did order Chinese food once a week, as well as an Italian restaurant down the road from us once a week.
That first taste of freedom where you're just like, I could order an egg roll at 2 a.m. if I want to.
Yeah. And it's fine. And it's great.
And stay up watching Friends.
That, my sister-in-law, Jules, is going to college literally in a couple days. I was like saying goodbye to her, and I basically said, it's like a slumber party with your like best friends every night, and you're going to love it. And it really is. I think we all deserve to go back to college just for like a month, and so we can binge watch Friends and order egg rolls. What do we think?
Where do I sign up?
Since you don't really remember watching this specific episode, you're kind of watching it first time viewer. What did you like about this episode?
I think the first thing I really liked about this episode is that it has, as most sitcoms do, kind of like an A, B, and C storyline. And I thought that all 3 of them were really strong. And even though we have the title, the one where Joey dates Rachel, it almost feels like instead of like the ABC type ranking of importance, like all 3 of them do kind of feel like they're given equal weight, which is unusual, but I really liked it. I especially liked that they made the decision, also with that being the title, with the Monica, Phoebe, Chandler plotline with the Miss Pac-Man machine. I was like immediately, as you always say, I was locked in. I think anyone who listens to our show like knows how much I really love like theater and like props and like costumes and doing things that are really a choice. And the choice to roll in a full Miss Pac-Man machine, and they had some dialogue about it to comment on the fact that, Monica is like a really neurotic person and wouldn't want something like this sitting in the middle of the apartment, that they kept it in the center of the set for the whole episode, because it also was obviously like a way to show, as much as Monica is neurotic and wants a nice apartment, she's also extremely competitive.
I practically spent my entire childhood at the arcade. This was like, oh my God, this is like my second favorite game.
So I love that they like use that as an avenue to showcase that.
Pac-Man is like such a well-known game, and there's so much history with it, but I wonder if somehow they like got a hold of that machine or something, and then they needed to use it or wanted to use it. I would love to like hear the backstory of how that plot line came to be.
Yeah, or like why Miss Pac-Man? Why not a different game? I was not expecting to find so many things that I had personal connections to in watching this short sitcom episode, but our dad purchased when we were kids.
This is exactly what I was thinking about the whole episode.
Why don't you share it, Laura?
So growing up, we had a very large dark, scary basement. That's also his like just increasingly got bigger somehow as we got older, but there were a lot of like crevices.
That is
It
strange.
didn't make any sense. It was very confusing. But it was like finished. I don't really remember. At the time, this was like the half unfinished version. I think our dad was clearly going through it. He's like, I have 1,800 children, all females in the house right now. I'm going out and I'm going to buy myself a bowling machine, but one of like the push bowling machines, and put it in our basement. And then I'm very upset that they decided to get rid of it at some point. That was our version of Pac-Man.
For anyone who knows our dad, I feel like in some ways you would be shocked to hear this, that he just randomly went out and decided, this is like before eBay, before Craigslist, somehow figured out how to contact someone to buy this machine.
We need a backstory. I mean, he must have, there's no way he targeted this purchase.
I don't know, because I feel like, we're both very nostalgic people. I do think that we partially get it from him. Yeah. And I could see him maybe in the same way that I was like so excited to go to college and like, oh, I can watch Friends now by myself, that he was thinking, oh, I have my own house now. I have my own basement. I could get this game that I always wanted when I was a kid and just get it for myself.
It was a large machine. I don't know how they got it down there.
I don't know how they got it down there either. I also just, in case anyone is listening to this and they're like, what are they talking about? Like a bowling machine? Because even I remember when there was like chatter about it before they got it, and then when it showed up, it wasn't what I was expecting. It's essentially like a tabletop shuffleboard style alley and those heavy pucks. And then you would push it, and then at the end there would be what looks like bowling pins, but they have flat backs and they would flip up. So it wasn't that you were actually knocking anything over like at a real bowling alley.
Sales of this bowling machine are about to skyrocket after
we need an affiliate link. But all three of these storylines, they started fun and great, but where all three of the storylines ended up was like, I was not expecting there to be that much escalation. I didn't expect for them to have like something that they would need to like work toward or fix, because it's like a game and it's fun. But that was a really easy, smart way to create a conflict where they would need to be working towards something to have, their nephew coming over. Which storyline do you want to talk about next?
I want to talk about the main one because I've seen this episode a ton of times. And whenever I watch this episode, the Rachel and Joey dating, like I never really wanted them to be together. So I didn't really enjoy that part of it, even though it is the main crux of the episode. I completely loved it this time. And I actually fell in love with their friendship. The entire idea of like, oh, you haven't been out on a date. You can't get a date because you're pregnant. Like, I'm going to create a date for you. I just love the beginning, middle, and end, how he picks her up and you kind of have this banter. They're at dinner and like, it's such a different type of date experience because they're giving each other insight into how they are on dates while they're on a date, which is really creative. Like to kind of think of that instead of them just being like, oh, we're going to go out and maybe Joey gets too drunk and he's like, oh, I want to kiss Rachel, or just some stupid kind of plot line that we've seen so many times. I really feel like it was an original idea. And then to have them end up back in the apartment together because they live together, and instead of having like a real door kiss, they're doing a fake door kiss. And then to have Joey go on this big date, and like you're seeing the aftermath of it. And it's sort of what you said at the beginning, Michelle, that this episode really escalates. But I think I was very surprised that I so enjoyed this storyline. I thought it was really, really sweet. And I have many questions for the table.
As do I. Do you want to cue one up now?
Yeah, we can start at kind of the first one that comes to mind is when they're sitting at the Central Perk on the couch. And Joey's asking, should I have this big date coming up? Where should I take her? And Rachel starts rattling off bring her out to dinner, go to Drinks at the Four Seasons, go dancing. And I want to know, question for the table, what is your idea of a perfect date? Or if you had to give someone like a date itinerary, what would it be?
I also wrote this down. And Laura, I want to hear your answer. I know they won't be identical, but I have a feeling we'll have some of the same elements.
Yeah. I love starting off the night with a cocktail or a glass of wine where you can kind of just sit in a relaxed environment, sit at the bar. I love sitting at the bar. I feel like it's very intimate and you always end up getting to like chat with the bartender, and then probably go out for a delicious meal and then like catching a movie at the end of the night.
Since we got a couple specifics from Rachel, we had Paul's Cafe and we had Drinks at the Four Seasons. Imagine this date transcends time and space, so you can pick a favorite. Where are you having cocktails? Where are you having dinner? And what theater are you seeing your movie in?
I'm actually going to put a bar name out there that's like a place that I've been to that's new. There's this wine bar in New York that opened up, I think this year, called Stars. It's literally like the center of the room is the bar, and it's kind of in this like horseshoe shape. And then there's a kind of a few seats around. And I just love like intimate bar settings where the music is not blasting and it's really cool and they have delicious drinks and good bites, and like somewhere where you can like nuzzle up next to someone and you're like in close quarters and you have like access to the bartender so they can give you recommendations, and it feels like a very like curated experience. There's also this amazing wine bar in Brooklyn, which a lot of people know about. It's called the Four Horsemen, and again has that kind of like similar, very like intimate, dim lighting bar with like good sound system but not blaring, and also really good food. For dinner, what's coming to mind tonight is just like a neighborhood spot in like New York City. Not like the cool new restaurant that it just opened. It's like the place where you can get like steak frites and a glass of wine. Somewhere where you can leave and go on like a long walk after and chat. I really love ending our dates like that. Like I love like being able to walk home from where we just were, or like walk to our next destination, because it lets you like, just keep the evening going. Movie theater. So after our neighborhood New York dinner, we're going to fly to LA and we're going to go to this movie theater called the Vista, which is in Silver Lake. And it's kind of this like orange exterior, but it's a very old theater and it just kind of has that like timelessness.
All right. Well, speaking of LA, my dream date night would begin at a place that you first brought me and that I have recently been back to that ended up being a glorious night. And that is the Culver Hotel, also a historic building, has great cocktails. And the nights that I've been there, they have live music playing and also old movies playing kind of like up against the wall behind the live musicians. And when Jimmy and I stayed there at the end of June, they were playing Shop Around the Corner, the old Jimmy Stewart movie. And I was just like, this night could not be more perfect.
Yeah.
And then we were walking up the stairs to our room and it kind of felt a little bit like it wasn't a fire escape because we were inside, but there was a little window in the staircase. And I look out the window and they were also playing a movie outside and there were just people gathered. And I was just like, this feels like, I can't explain like how magical just having that little moment felt.
It makes you wonder why in like our own homes or backyards, we just don't always have black and white movies projecting.
So yeah, that's where I would want to start my date night. But I think this is where I would take a little bit of a turn from you, Laura. I think I would go home after that. I love going home early and order takeout. Chinese food sounds great. And put a movie on with sounds and, just like eat at the coffee table. And then when the movie's over, my third part of the evening would be to make dessert, make chocolate chip cookies, warm ones in the oven, and have some tea and maybe play a game and then play a couple favorite TV shows, like pop in a DVD of Friends or Seinfeld or something familiar just to keep on in the background, and then like play a card game and stay up at the table as long as you can stay awake.
Let's take each other on dates.
I love it.
My second question kind of goes to like the tier 2 of their figuring out where are they going to go on their date. Okay, great. We're going on a date. And then Joey shows up with flowers and a brownie that we then learn that he ate on the way home, which I could relate to.
I don't know if you use this GIF a lot or you see this GIF a lot, but the Michael Scott GIF from The Office where he looks really surprised, that was me when Rachel opened the door.
What are you doing here? I thought you were in your room.
No, I'm picking you up for a date.
And Joey was standing there. I was so like, oh my God, he's at the front door. I feel like that just set the tone.
I don't think the chemistry is quite there. That's why they don't end it, but they have such good like friends.
Yes, friend chemistry is a great way to describe it.
The show's called Friends. But Joey shows up with lilies and her favorite flower, lilies, and a brownie that he sadly did eat on the way there in the cellophane. What is like your idea of like a dream gift that someone brings to you on a date?
What is yours?
Mine is like a baked good, like a cookie and flowers. Like Dom has picked me up from the airport a couple times and brought me like flowers and a cookie or croissant. Definitely a love language of mine.
I mean, I don't think I would turn either of those things down. I think between the two of them, I would be more excited about like a baked good than the flowers. Not that, I mean, I love flowers, but I think I would get stressed out about the logistics of getting it in water. And like, are we going somewhere after? Like, are the flowers going to be okay? So I would need to know that the flowers were like safe and taken care of.
I loved the callback to the brownie that when they get home, Rachel starts eating her steak with her hand, which is amazing. And Joey's like,
Well, then you don't judge me. I'm going to suck on the cellophane from the brownie I had before.
What did we think of the actual date?
I feel like they use that restaurant in like every Friends episode because they probably didn't have a big budget. It's kind of like vanilla, but I loved the conversation, like showing each other's moves. Rachel ordering a lot of food and him ordering the same thing, and I loved like that banter.
The date itself, I agree with you, was like kind of, I mean, like, what are we expecting in 2002? Like, I feel like that's what it was. They weren't going to Stars or, any of the places that you mentioned, but I did really like how they used the time there in the script to have these two interactions of them kind of like sharing their moves and like demonstrating them. And also like just that little bit about ordering that, he was encouraging her to like just order whatever she wanted. And also like, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, again, just kind of talking to like making each other feel so comfortable, which like, if you're not comfortable, you're not going to have a good time. So I really like that he prioritized that, especially knowing that she's pregnant too. And, probably not the most like physically comfortable. We've never had so many questions for the table in one episode, but do you have a move?
Not intentionally, but my move is like similar to Rachel's. Dom always says that if I had my own podcast, the name of the podcast would be Who Hurt You? Because I meet people and I immediately like Dom will walk out of the room and he comes back and they're crying, talking about, their dog that they lost like 4 years ago who meant the world to them. I'm good at small talk, like I can do it, but it actually drains so much energy out of me. So I immediately just start asking about people's family and all of their deep, dark secrets. People just share things with me and then I just keep going with it.
Mine is similar because I hate small talk and I'm terrible at it. And I can be so awkward because I think someone will be like trying to have small talk with me and I'm jumping to those same types of questions. Part of why we've even introduced this idea of questions for the table is because when I'm sitting at a table with someone, like I don't want to talk about how it might rain later. Let's have like an actual meaningful conversation. So I love questions like these just in general. And maybe that's not really a move, but I do think it is a great way for like humans to bond. Can you remind me what Joey's move was? Because I feel like I was like cringing at it and did not like it.
His move was, I was going to wait until the end of the night to tell you or to kiss you, but I just can't because you're so beautiful. I'm like, that's
no,
lame.
no.
Yeah.
I would be like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. I'd be like, that's nice, but I have to go. And his other move was that he pretends that a fan sends him a bottle of wine.
That was funny.
That's more Joey. Like the other one feels too forced.
just like a generic sleazy those lines are just no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what was your favorite part of the Joey Rachel storyline?
I both liked and disliked the very end. The concept of it, loved. In this whole idea of Rachel and Joey going on this fake date and the two of them are really like playing, like it never really gets serious at any point. But at the end, it does start to feel serious. If Rachel was kind of doing that intentionally, I loved that. But I think the fact that she wasn't is the thing that took me out of the whole story. I feel like it kind of made her seem stupid that like she wouldn't be acknowledging that this date that they had was special or that she didn't feel bonded to him. And I know that Rachel's supposed to be like a little bit ditzy, but if she didn't want to admit that to him, that's like a completely different story. But if we had gotten some acknowledgement of her telling another character or her, kind of showing the audience in some way that like she was starting to think in the same way that we see Joey, like we can tell that Joey is like, oh, wait a minute, like this is like, I feel like we're kind of, the lines are getting blurry here. But the fact that she's just completely oblivious or like not acknowledging it did not feel genuine.
I agree. It felt disjointed, especially I love the Cujo scene because I just love that she's like terrified, but I don't like it's just so uncomfortable. And I've never like was rooting for them.
I was probably excited from a storytelling lens that okay, these characters are gonna get together later on in the show, even if it was briefly. But after watching this episode, I really, really fell in love with their friendship. And now I'm like, I just want more of that. I want to see more episodes where they're really close and they're hanging out, but I don't think I feel the chemistry between them.
Yeah.
Can I ask a general Friends question? In all the love stories that we see in Friends, do you think that any of them have really good chemistry?
Not really. I think that Ross and Rachel do in season 1. Or is it season 2? I think that they do because it's so like exciting that they even got together to begin with. Like I feel like Chandler and Monica are more like friends. They all have good friend chemistry as they should.
Not to completely compare this because it's not a fair comparison. It's a different type of show, but we covered an episode of New Girl last week, and that is also a show where friends get together. But the chemistry is between Nick and Jess is electric, and I feel like none of the characters on Friends like even come close to that.
But I'm wondering if tonally, because the shows are different.
It's interesting because I feel like when I think of Friends and I think of the storylines of people getting together, like especially like how they handled Monica and Chandler getting together, the writing is so good. There are all these like surprises and people keeping secrets from each other. Like I love all of that. Yeah. But it feels more like a friend show, like the friendship relationships, even the romantic relationships feel stronger as friendships to me. So I'm not quite as invested from a romantic point of view.
All right. So let's talk about the last storyline here.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this is the reason that you picked this.
Such a small part of the episode. I didn't even realize that the rollerblading was the after the credits part. which made it even better because I was like, wait, there were rollerblades involved. But just such a funny idea. Anytime that Ross is like frazzled.
It felt very like an old TV show. I mean, I always go back to I Love Lucy. Like it felt like a very I Love Lucy treatment because we're seeing so much physical comedy. And the progression was so good, especially because you had mentioned that the Ross storyline was your favorite part of this episode. And I think that we got halfway through it and we had only really had one scene. And I was thinking, I don't like, did anything actually happen? But then it really ramps up at the end, culminating to that final scene, which I was like literally laughing out loud.
2 main locations. Here and here.
And I have a story to share. Laura and I, we both went to smaller colleges. And you pretty much walked to class and it wasn't a big deal. So Jimmy, my husband, went to University of Delaware, a really big school. And he lived on one end of campus and sometimes had classes that were completely at the other far end of campus. And his best friend, Bob, his roommate, played roller hockey. So he had his rollerblades there on campus. And Jimmy said one of the weekends where he went home, I think because of this, he picked up his rollerblades and brought them back to school. And Jimmy claims that this was Bob's idea, but this sounds more like a Jimmy idea to me, that the two of them started rollerblading to class. And I just had to confirm all these details with Jimmy before we started recording. I said, so did you bring sneakers with you in your backpack or something? He said, no, he would roll into class and like, those were his shoes.
It's so distracting. If I was a professor, I would be mad.
But apparently they both did it. They were both known as like the rollerblading guys. And it ended, Jimmy said, because the University of Delaware is beautiful. It looks very historic, and many of their pathways are like cobblestones. So Jimmy said that one of the days that he was rollerblading to class, all of a sudden he sees. Sorry, this is also very like, I'm just imagining like a sitcom.
Yeah.
He sees one of his wheels like go past him. And I guess they broke. And then he's like, you know what? This is like no longer an efficient method
and
of transportation.
He broke a brick and the college was like, you can't rollerblade.
No. I mean, even if I didn't know this Jimmy story, I still would have thought it was hysterical. But then also that he has his pointer.
It's so amazing, the rollerblades part, because I'm like, there's no way he's rollerblading through Manhattan, but maybe. My big takeaway, which I didn't remember from this episode of Plotline C, is that the Gellers have a newsletter.
I already put it in my family newsletter.
Your what?
You've seen it, the Geller Yeller.
And I think that we need to have a Short Piano newsletter.
Okay, well, this was another thing I wanted to bring up, is that we did. I doubt you remember this because I think that you were probably a baby. And I remember we had a very early version of some kind of, I don't even know what a comp to this would be, like a publishing program. And I was really excited to use it. Obviously, I've had a inclination toward graphic design from a young age. And I remember designing a family newsletter, and some of the stories were like, I don't know if it was like you or Lisa were like, we're sick and you were up in the middle of the night, but like that was one article. And it was very cute. It had like, like a border.
Did you save it? Do you have any print offs?
I'd have to look through my things. I feel like this seems like something that mom and dad would have saved. I don't know that I will be able to find it by the time this episode comes out, but I have a very clear memory of creating it and then coming across it when I was older and cringing a little bit. But now I'm far enough away that I can say that it was very cute.
I think that we need to bring it back and we need to make it a printed version that gets sent to everyone's houses on a monthly basis. Last question for the table, because I know we're throwing a lot at you. What would your family newsletter be called? I think Little Women.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can't compete with the Geller Yeller. Was there anything you disliked about this episode?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you. The Joey awkwardness is not great. I don't love that this show and shows of the time have a lot of fat jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're funny. And this wasn't a dislike, but just my overall observation is I actually didn't find myself laughing so much in this episode because I was so like surprised that I liked the Rachel Joey date plotline, which I don't think is like you're laughing that much. You're more like, oh, this is so sweet. So I guess that was actually something I liked. Like I liked that I watched this from a new perspective this time.
Yeah, all right. For me, other than what we already discussed, the scene where Ben does come in and they move to this like slow-mo operatic when Phoebe is cursing and they're trying to cover it up. I more blame the year that this came out and sitcoms for that more than like this show specifically. But it was just kind of like, this is not amusing to me in any way.
So did you have a favorite scene?
I'm torn. Definitely honorable mention for the very last Ross scene, just because I was truly laughing so hard. And it was unexpected because I almost turned it off because the credits pop up before they jump to that. I would love to rewatch this, but I think the scene where Rachel and Joey get back from the date and she's eating the steak and he's licking the brownie, that is the part that felt the most genuine. Acting how two people in this situation would have acted, where they're acknowledging, but they're also continuing to play and also being themselves.
When I rethink about it, that probably would be my answer too. But I actually really loved when he picks her up for the date, which also feels very natural. And again, it's a good inclusion that we got both of those moments. They didn't just
good
cut to the
bookends.
date. Favorite lines?
I liked how Chandler said that
They should change the name of it to Miss Chandler. Although I hope they don't.
I also liked where Joey is talking about his lip balm.
I put on shiny lip balm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like a moth to a flame.
And then
More embarrassing than shiny raspberry lip balm? I didn't say raspberry before, did I?
The inclusion about Joey. They don't say what they're talking about. And then he's like, which friend of our group would you punch?
Chandler?
Yeah, but I don't know why.
I love the part when Monica's getting very competitive and she says,
Well, you're just a little bitch, aren't you?
I mean, Rachel is just like so sweet and I love her character so much. She makes me so happy. And I just love when she says, oh, take her dancing.
yes, because she's so earnest. She's so
she's
excited.
So excited. But I love when she's ordering just the way that she does it. And she says,
Is there any way that I could substitute the 3-pound lobster?
New one sentence segment question.
yes.
Would you record this episode on a VHS tape to watch again?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. This is our first one that we've said no to. I mean, we've only done two before this.
It's just not one that I'm going to be like, this is a comfort episode for me. And it's so funny that I picked this because in my mind, I was like, oh, this whole episode is about Ross rollerblading to class. Obviously. My one other thing about that whole storyline that I forgot to include is I think one of my favorite aspects of it is when Ross learns about the distance and he asks a student and he's like,
But that's all the way across town. I'm supposed to teach a graduate seminar there in 10 minutes.
Ooh, dude, that's not gonna happen.
okay, dinner tray selections. So we'll give each other someone.
Why don't we do Rachel and Joey as our two character picks? And what if this date was at home instead?
Okay.
What if they didn't go out? What's on their trays?
I'll do Rachel and you do Joey.
Okay. All right.
I think for Rachel, she is going to go, I'm thinking kind of like a Dean and DeLuca situation where she goes out to like a market in New York and kind of picks out like her favorite fancier items. So maybe she'll have like, I don't know, I'm picturing like a caprese salad like in a little container with maybe a chicken dinner, like a chicken parm dinner that she loves, like over a bed of spaghetti. And then she gets snacks. Like she loves like chocolate covered pretzels and she likes gummy worms. So she has like that kind of like as her snack for their movie date after. And since she can't drink, she gets like a fancy sparkling water, something equivalent to like a Voss.
While Rachel is at Dean and DeLuca, I'm picturing just the two of them kind of like going out and gathering what they want.
Yeah.
I think Joey's getting a calzone with as many things as he can fit in it. Maybe a sausage, pepper, onion, pepperoni, mushroom. And I also think that he's going to get from a different place, like a club sandwich, triple decker with bacon, turkey, lettuce, tomato, and like a big thing of fries and a Pepsi and a to-go cup for him to drink on the way home. But then I also think that he gets a bottle of wine to go with the rest of his dinner and probably will drink the whole thing throughout the course of the evening. But like doesn't get drunk, but just kind of like it's there. Like if Rachel was drinking, that she would share it with him, but she's not. So he's like, I
think he likes like a cheap Cabernet.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, we already saw he got the brownie. I'm trying to think. I could see him, because they were home and because he wants to be romantic, like offering to make a dessert. But what would he make?
Maybe Rachel's trifle.
Maybe. I feel like it would have to be a recipe that he learned from his family, like from his mom. But it would also need to be something that was very simple, like not an overly complicated thing that would take the whole night.
I'm kind of picturing like a chocolate mousse, maybe because I just saw a recipe for that and it takes 5 minutes to make.
I could see that, and him serving it like in the perfect glassware with a little swirl of whipped cream on top and a strawberry. And then he knows that Rachel has been craving strawberries for whatever reason, and he brings her like an additional cup of washed strawberries so she can have extra.
And see him also getting like a personal pizza for dessert.
Absolutely. Why not?
Michelle, what are we doing next week? Listeners, great time to submit some episodes.
To submit episodes to the Idea Jar, you can go to our website, filmdisabledpodcast.com, or click below the video or below the audio. There are links in both places. And then we will put your submission in here and maybe choose it for a future episode. And it could be a movie or TV.
Okay, so.
All right, we got the jar. I'm going to do my non-athletic shakeroo.
Shake.
Here we go. We do have some in here. We have ones that we want to watch.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get a good one. Ooh, okay. I'm excited about this one, and I feel like it's very fitting for our upcoming season, not fall. So we're going to be covering Gilmore Girls, season 1, episode 7, called Kiss and Tell.
Yes. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a good one. All right.
All right.
We will see you all then.